Hello, everyone. Through the Just BS 101 series, I am making an honest attempt to share a few snippets of my learnings from the business of sports. Today, let's try to think about fan pathways. If we are to put ourselves in the shoes of a sports organization for a moment and think about fan engagement, the journey really begins with fan acquisition and moves into a steady state when this acquired fan converts into a super fan for us. Now, how do we define a super fan? How do we know that has happened? There can't be one answer to this question, naturally. But it would be safe to assume that if a certain fan is performing either a retention or a monetization event on a regular basis, we could infer that that transformation into a super fan has happened. Now, as you can imagine, there could be multiple different pathways that all of these different fans take on their own journey. Let's try to explore some examples of what these pathways could be. Example one, we could think of a two-step gaming-led pathway. After the acquisition of the fan on, let's say, the website of a team, the fan first participates in a gaming solution, gets engaged with that, keeps coming back to the website again and again. At some point, the fan makes a purchase of a season jersey. Now, as against a retention event, this becomes a monetization event. And finally, the fan ends up purchasing or renewing a season-long membership or a subscription to an OTT platform. If we think about it, someone who is a recurring annual member of your program or your subscription, it's safe to say that you've converted this fan into a super fan. There could be other definitions of that as well, but given this definition, this could be one pathway that a certain fan follows. What are some other examples of this? A second example could be a three-step FLP-led path or a fan loyalty program-led path. Now, what happens here? After the acquisition, again, the fan first participates in a gaming solution, let's say a predictor or a fantasy game. Because of having played that game, the fan now starts collecting fan loyalty points. At some point, this fan now starts redeeming these fan loyalty points or tokens for certain benefits. And the level of engagement, the level of connection with the brand for this particular fan has now increased multifold. What happens next? After having performed these two retention events, the fan now performs a monetization event, which could be in the form of the purchase of match tickets as soon as the season begins. And what happens in the end is again the same example of eventually the fan purchasing or renewing an annual membership or OTT. So again, similar destination, but a slightly different pathway taken by this fan. Third, there could be a more direct and possibly the easiest pathway for a fan to leapfrog into the super fan category. Right after acquisition, let's say we are able to retarget this fan on social media through some sort of promotional campaigns. And what are we promoting? The exact same output that we had in the previous two examples, which could be, let's say, a membership or a video OTT subscription. And we could have something like an early birds discount offer that's ongoing in parallel, wherein if a fan purchases in the next 48 hours, you get a 15-20% discount directly. And you could have a certain section of fans who are willing to buy into this offer and not really go through all the intermediate steps that the previous examples had. There could be multiple different pathways, as we saw in the first slide, that different groups of fans can take. And this number could go into a few hundreds, a few thousands, considering the amount of possibilities that are there on a website or a mobile application. The interesting exercise that follows from the point of view of the sports organization is to figure out what are the 4 or 5 pathways that say 70 or 80% of fans are actually taking. So these are the most seamless, frictionless pathways that make sense to the fans intuitively. And then you convert them into funnels and try to optimize the funnel at every step. Hope you found that useful. Stay tuned for more.